Mangu, Zambia, capital of the western province in one of the poorest countries in Africa, one of the poorest countries in the world.
The numbers are overwhelming, and then the fact that these people are probably thinking, will I live past 40?
About 100,000 people live in Mangu, but every day its population shrinks. So many are dying because of AIDS. Local nurses estimate 1 in every 3 adults and children likely has AIDS.
I think it's probably the most prevalent problem, and it's the most obvious, but yet it's the most hidden. But I think there's also the whole issue of poverty and malnutrition that then makes AIDS even a more challenging healthcare issue than it is here in the United States.
The Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word from San Antonio, Texas, came to Africa at the turn of the new millennium. They found the greatest need in Mangu, Zambia.
I think the needs in Zambia are enormous, and I think help is needed in every area. I think help is needed in education, help is needed in health. I think help is needed in putting in place infrastructures. I think just bringing basic water, electricity. I think there is enormous help needed in Zambia, and I think anyone can help.
We're doing our part to alleviate the pain and the problems resulting from AIDS. And every day, as you hear now, there's a funeral going by right now. Every day there are people dying. And that's very difficult to see.
Mangu is situated along the Zambezi River floodplain. Very few people have jobs. As a result, scores of able-bodied men and women congregate on the streets day and night. During a visit here in 2003 while delivering beans to people with AIDS, Sister Walter Maher of San Antonio met a toddler who changed the world.
And there was a little boy, and the little boy had all kinds of things over his eyes, his mouth, and his nose. And I really wanted to go and do something for him, but I couldn't, because I didn't know what it was that was on his eyes. I didn't have anything to clean his face or do anything for him. And he kept following me everywhere. And his image stayed with me for a long time.
The image of the suffering toddler haunted Sister Walter, but she also sensed what she calls the mystery of God in the child's eyes.
The child never said a word. And it just followed. I don't know if the child could talk or not, but he was so persistent in following me. And actually he did come, and he just kind of held on to I had a long skirt, he held on to it, and I just held him like that. But for me, the mystery of the child is just mystery that I can't explain.
Up until then, the San Antonio nuns were caring for adults and orphans. But Sister Walter knew something more had to be done to save babies from getting AIDS. She didn't know what. She just knew the San Antonio congregation had to do more. When she returned to San Antonio from Africa, Sister Walter had a chance meeting with Christus Santa Rosa Hospital pediatric nurse Randy Escamilla. She's among the first nurses in Zambia to create a program that provides formula for babies to prevent AIDS in Africa.
It means that they won't die of HIV right now, unless, they get it sexually later or through IV drug use or something later in life. But as of right now, these babies are HIV free. And in our world, that's not a big deal, but in their world, it is a big deal.
Together, the nurse and the nun developed the Mother and Infant Care Program. It provides infant formula to mothers with HIV who agree not to breastfeed their babies during the baby's first year of life. And it's working.
The bottom line is it's the mom and the decision that she can make. What we hope to accomplish with the Mother and Infant Care Program is to educate these moms and to teach them the difference.
Why do you give your baby milk from Mick?
Because she's HIV positive.
You have HIV?
Yes.
It's not about me, it really is about what God needs to get done in the world. And we're the instruments. And so sometimes I might have a little input today, it's somebody else tomorrow. But for me, it's the ability to rejoice in that we can all do something to change the world.
Every Friday, mothers with their babies go to the Mother and Infant Care Clinic in Mongu for checkups. They also pick up their supply of formula.
I decided to join this program because it's maybe where I could find help for my baby and I.
Yet the simple act of bottle feeding is so counterculture, many women in Africa are branded as prostitutes and rejected by their families because it's a sign they have AIDS. Why are people afraid to talk about HIV and AIDS?
Because of they are stigmatizing themselves.
We understand the reality. The reality is that stigma is such a big issue that to breastfeed means you're a bad mother, that you could be a sex worker, that you've done drugs, or that you're just generally a bad person. And so that would admit to your HIV status. But we also have to appeal to the mother side of this issue, and the moms that are really brave, and when I say brave, they're very brave because it's a really big issue there. I mean, stigma is an issue in the United States, but I think in Africa it's still a little bit harder for them. And for them to stand up and say, I don't want to breastfeed, I'm going to bottle feed my baby, is a big deal.
In December 2006, just a year after the program began, the Sisters of Charity of the Incarnate Word and Escamilla, who also works for the Sisters, learned they were saving babies from AIDS. So could the mysterious toddler Sister Walter saw be the incarnation of the child Jesus?
It could be. Who knows? I think for me, it's to be attentive to the urgings of the Spirit and to find a way to respond.
A toddler who never spoke a word is now saving Africa one baby at a time.
The child had the power of God, and the child had the power of mystery, and the child had the power to call forth a response. And that to me is ultimate power.
Sakari